What is going on, family and friends? We're here at the Stealing the Mind podcast, and I have one of my best friends, Shayan Tabrizi. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for
Shayan
having me.
Tabrizi, we call him Breezy. He's one of the older gentlemen that I grew up with, and no doubt a person that I came to for wisdom and brotherhood. Thank you for joining us.
Of course, thank you for having me today. I really appreciate it.
Got you. All right, so I wanna get your insight on this quote. I just want to throw it out there. I tell myself this every single day. If it doesn't build your reputation, then don't do it. No neutral moves. That means for me, be intentional about all the things that you do. If it's not building your reputation, it's not making you better, not building another relationship, whatever it is, if it's not benefiting you in a way, don't do it. What does that mean to you?
I love that actually. That's a really good quote. I kind of have a similar quote. It's along the same lines. Mine goes, every action you make today defines your tomorrow. So it's kind
Mm.
of the same thing. It's kind of like building on your reputation and doing the right things essentially. It's like that's been a big thing in my life. I felt like in these last 2 years. So I'm currently a senior at college, and when you get a little bit older, you're an upperclassman. You kind of fall out of the partying and going out and stuff. There's a lot of like self reflection because not only do you stop going out to nightlife and stop enjoying, you know, the younger years of college, your circle kind of gets smaller. So you really take a second eye to like look at what's going on around you, and that's been a really important quote to me. Same as yours as well, honestly. Even though I didn't know about it, I've realized that being around the right people and making the right decisions that are going to improve my life have really benefited my personal being and just my everyday actions. So something I can kind of talk about that's new to me, but I've been doing it a lot recently is I just signed up for it kind of sounds funny, but I signed up for like a sauna and cold plunge place that's right here in Boulder, and it's a very niche small place, but every single day that I've gone in there, I've met a new entrepreneur. I've met a new businessman or businesswoman. I actually just met the CEO of CrossFit the other day, and we had a really big talk about fitness, and talked about my family's gym and a lot of things like that, and made this really great connection and actually connected with him. And I've just noticed like doing small things like that, kind of taking the step, even though it may sound weird, like why am I going to a sauna cold plunge place, like spending my time there? The connections can be anywhere. The connections can be on the side of the street. They could be in the sauna. They could be, wherever you meet your person and meet people. That's really going to help you grow. So yeah, I really like your quote, Connor. That's a great quote.
Completely. It success really boils down to decisions, right? And it always starts with the first decision with waking up early,
Mm-hmm.
then getting your workout in, or eating
Mm-hmm.
breakfast, making
Mm-hmm.
your calls, whatever it is. It boils down to the small decisions, and it ends up getting you to where you want to be. It's just there's a lagging indicator of actual success, right?
Yeah,
For you,
absolutely.
it's like, and you're going to this new thing, but you're not doing it just because you want to. No, it's actually intentional. And
Yeah,
because you were intentional about it, it was about your self development. It was probably about like therapy, right? Kind of like physical therapy in a way.
totally. Yeah,
It's led you to meet this CrossFit guy, and it led you to meet this another CEO. So it's like intentions and having, so consistent intentional actions leads to something that you don't even know, but it's gonna better you. So I love
that's true.
that. I mean, for you, so you're a student, you're in a relationship, you're a businessman, you got a lot of responsibilities. Like this framework is super important, right? So how
Yeah.
has being intentional with your life, how has that like impacted your ability to like be on top of your game and like stay competitive in all realms of endeavors that you're in?
Yeah, totally. I recently heard an Andrew Tate quote, and he was talking about how keeping yourself occupied with business or relationship or working out or just doing good, going outside, being present is really the thing that makes you prosperous and makes you the best person you could be. Because if you're just sitting at home and let's say you're into video games, for example, and you're sitting at home, you're playing video games, you don't get outside to go see the sunlight, you don't get outside to go talk to a friend or the store clerk or the gym front desk girl or whoever it is, you're intentions and your social battery and all of these things that add up with one another to like make you the person you are not going to come forth. You're really just going to be wasting your time. So the best thing for me that I've really realized is like just staying active, staying busy. Luckily, I go to school in a pretty active, outdoorsy city, and truthfully, that's not really the person I am. I don't go skiing or snowboarding or hiking like the typical Colorado community. However, I do find myself going outside, getting sunlight every morning. I wake up early. I'm eating pretty organic and like full whole foods. Like I'm staying away from the junk, and just all of these things add up, and they add to the intention of your lifestyle and what the type of person you want to be. So I don't know if that answered your question or if you'd like me to elaborate a little bit more on a certain subject, but
No, I love that.
yeah,
You make a really good point. I mean, I learned this from Luke Belmar. He goes, the devil's workshop is an idle mind. So a mind
yeah,
that's not occupied, a mind that's not working, is a place for evil or whatever,
hmm,
sexual interactions, whatever it is, comes into your life and spoils it. So
that's
like
right.
just us, you're lucky for being in Colorado. I'm here in Riverside, California. There's not much to do, but like
Yeah,
in Colorado, I could see how you can even be intentional about getting out there because it's so beautiful and seeing things out there in the wild. It actually does create visions in your mind and also like
yeah,
brings things to reality of like the beauty of the world.
hmm,
Um, Tell me about this change of environment. You were here in the Bay Area
hmm,
from when you were born all the way into high school, and then you made a drastic change to a whole different state, to another
yeah,
college, to another demographic of people. What was that? How was that experience, and how has that impacted your business life?
yeah, totally. So my intention coming into Boulder was to have fun and go to parties because I was the DJ in high school, like you remember, of course. And I still am. I still DJ. That's one of my businesses that I run currently, and it's actually there's some updates on that which we'll talk about later. But I kind of came to Boulder hearing that it's a party school, it's fun, and I had actually committed before COVID had happened, so I kind of fell into an unlucky slash lucky shoot because I came in for the wrong reasons, you would say. I guess as a freshman or a sophomore, it didn't seem that way, but coming here and kind of switching up my environment was a huge culture shock for me because one, I'm Iranian, and that community and that culture to me is probably one of my strongest traits, and I like definitely put that at the forefront of my personality is my ethnicity because I'm very proud to be a Iranian, and kind of going away from that and being surrounded by essentially Caucasians, which there's not an issue for me, but it is a big change, especially coming from the Bay Area where there's a lot of Asians, Southeastern Asians, Middle Easterns, Latinos, there's everybody, African Americans, whites, and coming to Colorado and kind of being around just the Caucasian community, I would say it has had its pushes on me to like that culture and stuff, but I've definitely remained true to my roots, who I am, because that's just something you can't really take away from someone if you're a strong person. You can't really take somebody's roots. But coming here and DJing for the first 2 to 3 years, that was a great experience for me because that was kind of my dream. I wanted to come to college and be the big name DJ, and luckily, knock on wood, I got to achieve that in college, and I made some good financials, met some good connections through that. However, in this last, I would say, year and a half of schooling, I have seen a change in that. I've kind of shied away a little bit from the nightlife industry and nightlife scene and kind of focused more on my new businesses that I'm going to be pursuing outside of college once I'm graduated in about less than 2 months here, which is also crazy to think about. Um, and yeah, it really just it was a new perspective. It was a big culture shock. I remember in the first year it was COVID, so I wasn't really able to go out as much as I had wanted to, which was what I talked about earlier. And I was coming back and forth from the Bay Area a lot, and I was taking nuggets from what I've learned in Colorado and kind of the culture here, and bringing it back to the Bay Area and introducing that to my family and friends, and then also taking what I have in the Bay Area and bringing it here. So it's like I'm not shy to wear my Niners jersey or my Giants hat or wear my white Air Forces brand new, crispy clean. Like I would bring all these different cultures back and forth, and it really kind of shaped me into I feel like a well-rounded individual because I brought the good of the Bay Area, I have the good of the Colorado, bring it all together, and then I feel like it's a very adaptable personality that I've created for myself.
That's wonderful. There's a lot of stories out there where people move and they end up not liking their college experience, and I'm so
Hmm.
grateful that we're on the same boat. We both moved. We went out of our hometowns, assimilated ourselves into the culture of this new city,
Hmm.
become a figure, become someone that is influential and people like to hang out with.
Hmm.
What would you what would you say to someone that is also moving away, like totally into a different place, not knowing what is there, and like at the same time wanting to be an entrepreneur? Like, how do you really integrate yourself with that, but keep your core that like your duty is to do this
Hmm.
and do not mess up? Because there's a lot of stories out there where people go somewhere and they totally just become so different and they lose
Yeah,
themselves.
that's
So I'm
right.
glad you have a good story. So tell us how can someone keep that strength within them?
Yeah, so my younger brother Cameron, he just moved to Vancouver. It's his first year of college. So he started in Canada, and he's literally been I've been his mentor this last year, and he's had it pretty difficult, honestly, because I mean, not only are we coming from the United States to Canada, though it is not a big change, it is in its own. Um, it's actually a little bit closer than it is to fly from San Francisco to Denver than it is to go to Vancouver. Vancouver is a little bit of a shorter flight, but still the culture is very, very different. And so, my number one piece of advice to him was just like getting out there, like going to the gym, like even though if you don't want to work out, like go and walk on the treadmill and be on the treadmill and watch your phone. It's okay as long as you're outside. You get that social battery running, and so it's like when you talk to the person that you see on the street or sitting next to you in class or whoever it is, you're creating those connections. I think connections is the biggest thing. You could speak about this all day. I know you can, but connections are very, very important. So just like trying your best to get out there. You can even be like unintentional about it. Like I said, go on the treadmill and just walk on the treadmill, watch your Netflix. But there's other people around, so the next time you see that one guy again, hey man, I saw you last week, man. How you doing? Whatever, you meet these people. I've been telling him to do that, as well as kind of finding a community. I remember when I moved to Colorado for the first year, I was like dying to meet some other Middle Easterns and stuff. So I literally joined the Facebook group that was like Middle Easterns in Colorado, and it's like some of them are all the way like towards Wyoming, some of them are all the way down south. Like they're all over the place, but like just like being like, okay, cool, there is like another Persian in Colorado. Like I don't feel so like alone and sort of thing. Making those connections. Um, and towards business, being an entrepreneur, I would say find your niche. Like if you move to Miami, you know that scene is really into nightlife and going to the beach and stuff. You got to get in shape. You got to match with the culture. You got to be an active person. You got to be a sociable person. Whereas if you move to um, if you move to Vancouver, it's a little bit of a ski town. It's kind of laid back. People are pretty nice there. You got to assimilate with that culture. You can't come in really hard headed. You can't come in very egotistical. You got to adapt. So, just being able to adapt and figure out what your group is, what the group around there is. I feel like that's really important.
That's fire. I love how you say that. And guys, for those who's listening, listen to how Breezy he can articulate so well, and it's because he gained these characteristics of being a social, not a social butterfly, but I would just say someone that is so good
Social
socially,
butterfly? No,
right?
I'm joking. Yeah.
um, Whenever I hung out with Breezy, it was so easy to connect with other groups that I didn't know, and he made it so easy to the point where I felt like the people that Breezy knew that I didn't know when I met them, they were very cool, and I could just talk to them about anything I wanted. So Breezy, thank you for teaching me how to be social, and to add on to that, like you guys will kind of figure out, Breezy's also a very very logical guy, and I really like that about him because I would go to him for logical problems. I want to jump right into this because I want to get why our business is super logical as a business model. So, Breezy, you're in the car
Mhm.
industry, right? You wholesale cars.
Yeah.
We wholesale houses. We do the
Hmm.
exact same thing, but in a different vehicle.
That's
What
right.
is it about this business model that you best like?
That's a good question. I would say the best part about it is, at least on the car side, I would say it's just building the connections with those other wholesalers because, or not even wholesalers, retailers too. Just building connections with other business people, other businesses. It's the best way to keep the money coming, and keep the connections going is providing quality product and creating a relationship. Those are the two biggest things I would say that I've learned from my dad. Also, a little bit of background about what I do is my father has owned a wholesale used car operation for 35 years as of this year, and I've pretty much been there since I was in the womb. My mom was working at the same time as I was in the womb and I was a baby. So I've literally been around there, this exact same location, for my whole entire life. And I've kind of taken on more serious roles in the last 7 to 8 years. But I've realized that one of the big things that my dad preaches to me is just quality work, doing your homework, making these business connections. These are the things that are going to get you far because in wholesale, there is a lot of shady people. So that can be a benefit to someone who wants to come in as an ethical person, as an ethical business person. If you come forward and keep your morals straight and keep your ideas very ethical, like you're gonna go far because a lot of these wholesalers will come in, I bet in your business too, quick for the money, get out of there, boom, done, easy money, and that's just there's no longevity to that. There's a very short span of life that that type of business person has. So keeping yourself constantly occupied with a lot of businesses, like we deal with, I would probably have to say about 250 clients, and
Wow.
I would say about 45 to 50% of those are regular clients. A lot of those other ones are not as regular, but I've noticed my dad keeps those relationships with the other 50% just as good as he does with the regular 50%. So people know him. We're a recognizable brand, luckily, in the wholesale industry, and that's really helped us in our business and with my business as well. It's just being honest, being truthful, and being ethical.
Wonderful. I love those. Those are really good pillars to have in your business. And for the ones who aren't familiar with what wholesaling is essentially playing middleman of a transaction, right? So for houses, I would go to a seller, just find one with a really ugly house, and I would just call them and I provide the service and the value that I can get them a cash deal from one of my partners or one of my buyers. That's
Hmm.
my value with the seller. And then I'll take this contract or whatever agreement I put together and I bring it to the buyer, the one that actually gets his hands dirty, right? I don't flip houses. My hands are clean. I bring the value that I have houses, ugly houses for sale that he could flip. So in wholesaling, you bring value to two parties. And that's why I like it because I don't need the house, but I could bring
Yeah.
value to both of them and get paid. What is the
Hmm.
value that you guys, it might be the same, but what is the value that you guys bring to those 45 regular buyers and then also from the people that you guys acquire the cars from?
The value we bring. One of the biggest things in Mannheim, San Francisco, which is the auction that we operate out of, is a lot of dealers will come to the market and bring their cars or bring their fleets, and there will be three things: undetailed, unworked on, and bad history. A lot of these cars have salvage titles or very major accidents on the Carfax, and in times when the deal is right and if you could buy it for the right price and you feel like you could sell it for the right price, that's okay. But the two others, which is non-detailed and non-worked on, are the two biggest things that we bring to the table. Every car that we come across at our dealership, not only do we fix every single problem that's wrong with it the right way, that not the ethical way, not like putting some BS into the transmission fluid to make the transmission good for a week. We will go and fix the transmission. We'll go put in that work, and obviously we'll evaluate that into our costs when buying the vehicle. However, we fix these cars all the way, as well as detail the cars. That's one of our biggest edges, I feel like, in the business because a lot of dealers will come to the market and bring their cars, and they just look like trash. They look like trash. We luckily have very good detailers on site that will detail the cars for us and bring the cars in looking like an A plus. A lot of these dealers will bring cars that are B plus, B, B minus, C. It'll range in that. It'll range in the 75 to 80% if you're thinking about the school, like school. We bring the cars in A plus every single time. We are number one in lowest arbitration rates. So what that means is the amount of times that a car is put in under inspection after the auction and fails is the lowest. We almost never fail our arbitrations. So we are the number one in that. We also are number one in condition report ratings. So at the Mannheim auction, there's a rating between, I believe it's either 1 to 5 or 0 to 5, but anything below, I would say a 3 is really good. Honestly, under 3.5. Our average for CRs ranges around 4.4 to 4.7. So we're
Wow.
always in that A market, and we have ranked the last, I think, 15 to 20 years as number one CR. And my dad, I give him a lot of credit because he's been doing this operation at the top of his level for almost 30 years. And that's really astounding. That's really my biggest role model, my biggest mentor is my father, because he comes in every day, puts in 100% of effort, and reaps the benefits. And that's just what it takes.
Completely. Your dad is freaking awesome. He even hired
Yeah.
me for a little bit for a summer or two. I love
Yeah.
working for him. But guys, it shows Cheyenne, I keep saying Breezy, but
Yes,
Cheyenne's
I will.
business with this Cheyenne's business with his father, they over deliver. They go the extra mile. And what happens from that? They blow out their freaking competition, right? When you're really putting in the work and you're being diligent and what you do is correct and you're doing it ethically and you're building relationships, and when you bring cars to the dealer, everyone wants to buy it because they know, oh, it came from Shayan Tabrizi's business. You over deliver and you kill the competition. I mean, wholesaling is a huge space in real estate and in cars, right? And wholesaling for real estate, a lot of people they take shortcuts and stuff like that, and they try to cut, what is it called? They try to get they pretty much try to take the seller's equity from them, and they don't do it right. And then when they go to sell the deal, they're like, "Damn, this wholesaler is making 100K, and the seller's only making 80. How does that make sense?" Doing
Hmm.
business like that, guys, will kill your reputation, and you will get obliterated by the guy like Breezy, the guy like my company, who are doing it right. What does competition look like if someone was to like try to hop into the game, Breezy? Like, is it a lot, or is it really just based on how you do your business is what makes you successful?
I would say how you do your business is the biggest key to being successful. Newcomers into the game, I'm actually familiar with a couple, just because like now that I'm older, I'm kind of getting familiar with like the new players in the market, and luckily I have a little bit of a front step, but that doesn't make me any better. I'm still the same level as everybody else. Um, a lot of newcomers in the market, they uh, they think anything is a deal, so it's like in the wholesale business, you really need to have experience. So it's like whether or not you go work for a wholesaler for a while, or you work for the Ford dealer or the Chevy dealer or whoever, if you just get some experience in the industry, I would feel that is the most important. Or have a hands-on skill. So if you're a mechanic, if you're a detailer, if you're a cosmetics guy, if you know how to do upholstery, do seats, those are always an A plus too, like a plus. Unfortunately, I don't really have one of those extra skills. However, I do have the knowledge, so I feel like that kind of gets me to the same level. And I have a basic knowledge of mechanics as well as detailing as well as upholstery. I kind of have a basic knowledge, so that gives me a little bit of a competitive edge. But if you were a newcomer, I feel like the number one piece of advice I would give is to seek out quality in what you do. So don't find the car on the side of the street that has 180,000 miles and looks like a rust bucket and like think this thing can make you 3 4 grand, because I mean either you're gonna lose money or you're barely gonna break even. Like there's not a whole lot of room unless you want to take the quick route, which is just like throwing it in the Ducky's car wash really quick and running it through for $14 and taking it to the auction that way. But I mean, if you're not fixing what's broken, you can't make a profit. So really, just finding good quality as well as working for somebody else, getting some experience, or having one of those other experiences, like I said, mechanic, detail, or upholstery. That's a very big help.
Wonderful. One thing in our business that is imperative, it's an imperative skill to have, is sales and negotiating, right?
Hmm.
For you, Breezy, when you acquire a car, you got to get the best deal possible. For me,
That's
when I'm
right.
trying to get a house, I got to do the best deal possible and do it ethically. And then on the back
Hmm.
end, we got to upsell the buyer, right?
That's right.
Was that something that you had to work on when you jumped in, or like were you pretty natural when it came to negotiating with cars and stuff like that?
Hmm. That's a good question. I don't think I was necessarily the strongest seller because you even use sales tactics when you're buying a car. Because like you go out on Craigslist and you find a car that's listed for $12,000 and you really want to buy it for 9 grand. 9 grand, you know, you have to use selling tactics for somebody to sell you the car for 9 grand, what you want to pay. So it's definitely like that's another thing with experience. I've gone into deals. I remember when I was 15, I was buying cars like off Craigslist, and my dad would send me out and be like, "You're good, man. Go for it." Like throwing me into the pool as a baby, essentially, sort of thing. Like just making me go and just figure it out on my own. And that was a big learning lesson because I wouldn't get what I want. And also another thing is when my dad did that to me and told me, "Hey, you just gotta just go do it yourself. Figure it out. Like buy the car for try to get it for this much, but if it's not the deal, then you can't take the deal." But I used to be kind of stubborn as a kid because I was like so interested in like buying cars and pulling up to school the next day with my new car. Everyone was like, "Dang, where would you get this car?" And I'm like, "Oh, I just bought it." Um, I would pay a little bit too much for cars sometimes. I remember there was this Chrysler 300. It was a 2012 black Chrysler 300. Those ones that look like the Rolls Royce, Chrysler 300. Um, this guy met me in a parking lot and knew that I was inexperienced, and so he really took advantage of me. And like I was trying my best to get it for like 7 grand, I think, but he ended up selling it to me for like 95 or 9 grand or something like that. And the car was only worth 9 grand, so it's like I was overpaying already. Like if you buy, this, if you buy at what you could sell it for, you're not making money. That's impossible because I don't know. But when you're young and you don't really know, it's like that seems cool. You're like, oh, it's fun. Like this is a really nice car. I'll sell for more. You're 99% of the time wrong. So I remember I took that car to the auction the next day, and I tried selling it, and we only got 7 grand for it, which was exactly what my dad told me, or whatever the price was that we got. My dad told me exactly buy it for this because it's gonna sell for this, and he was right. But I was stubborn, and I ended up losing like a grand on that deal or 2 grand, whatever the numbers were, the figures. I lost, and it was a learning experience for sure because next time, the next deal you go into, you're like, nope, okay, you're comfortable walking away. You're comfortable saying, I can't take that. Like, this is the best I could do. And one of the biggest skills that I've learned recently is walking away. That's one of the biggest upper hands you can ever do because not only is it a power move, you're kind of walking away from a deal being like, okay, you can't sell it to me for this price. Thanks for your time. I appreciate it. Give them a nice firm handshake. And my dad always tells me, he's like, they're going to text you tomorrow. They're going to text you tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. saying, hey, I'll do this deal. Let's do it. Because that's a negotiation tactic. It's just negotiation. It's really experience. And watching Andy Elliott, too, which is a guy on Instagram, he's really a game changer. I've used his sales tactics to buy cars before. There's this one line that I use. I'm like, you know, you posted this car on Craigslist today with the intention of selling it. Is that correct? And they'll be like, yeah, I want to sell it. I'm like, so let's make a deal then. What are we wasting time for? Like you woke up this morning, looked at yourself in the mirror and said, I'm going to sell my car. That's what I'm here to do. I'm here to buy your car. And a lot of times they'll trick people because you can't say no to that. You can't say like, oh, well, you know. So
Wow.
experience. It's really just experience. Yeah.
I love that. I'm gonna use that for houses for sure. But
That's a good
that but
one. It's
that
really
that
good. It's actually really
story is
fun.
so powerful.
Yeah.
That that story is so powerful. you failing, you taking the loss, and I think for the people watching, a lot of them are younger entrepreneurs. They're scared to fail, but there's nothing scary about it because failing is inevitable. And the only
That's
way
right.
to learn is to fail. How did you bounce back? Because I'm sure that I'm sure your dad didn't care too much. He was like, all right, this is gonna teach him. But in your
Hmm.
head, you definitely were thinking, damn, I just lost our team 2K or 1K. Like that, that's a hit to the heart. And I've
Hmm.
done deals like that too where we lost money or we spent money and got nothing from the deal. How did you bounce back from that like that loss that you have? Like what did it feel mentally and how did you like just overcome it and keep going?
Yeah, well, the first thing was like I feel like I let my dad down because I went against his word and what he told me to do. I still paid the money that I was not supposed to pay. Um, Obviously, this was years ago, so I'm over it now because I've taken a lot of wins and losses in the last 7 8 years. But um, from that deal, especially, I think it was probably my second or third deal or something like that, and it was probably one of the first without my dad being present and during the deal, and I was kind of like rolling money. I had like saved up all my money for my birthdays and Persian New Year's and Christmas and all this stuff. And like I probably had like 4 grand saved up and I had bought a car, flipped it in, made like 500, 600, flipped another one, made about a grand. And so that's where I was standing at around 8 grand or some, whatever the figure was. And I remember when I lost money on that, that was out of my account. That wasn't on the business. That wasn't on anything. My dad was giving me experience. Um, I had to go back to buying lower end cars, and I was like so excited because a Chrysler 300 is like kind of cool. Like they have a nice stereo system. They're like pretty good engine. Before that, I was buying like little Civics and little old BMW 3 Series and stuff. Nothing special. So when I lost, I was like, dang, I have to go back to buying like Corollas and Civics again. Like I didn't want to do that. I was ready for the next kind of like echelon of cars, so like trucks and Yukons, because those are like the big money makers. And I was like right there. I'm like, oh, if I made 10 grand, I can go and buy a Yukon right now, like, and make 2 3 grand on this deal, like on profit. So that was the biggest letdown. It was just like having to take a step back, but it was a learning lesson, so I'll take it.
So you just accepted it and you're like, I'm gonna move on. I'm gonna slow a bit down. I'm gonna
Yeah,
get back to my basics, get to what I know, and then gain your momentum again.
that's right.
Wonderful. That's some good information for the people out there that are trying to do big deals first, right? Do the little
Mm.
deals. Get the
Yeah,
little things done. Make some money on this. Make some money in your business. Doesn't have to be a 50K. It doesn't have to be a 10K, 20K. Make like 2K. It pays the bills, right? Pays the
that's right.
marketing. It pays your rent. It pays your housing. It pays
That's
your
right.
groceries. That's what we need to focus on first. There's too many, I wouldn't even say gurus, but just like social media shows that like success is when you make a fat deal. But if you
Hmm.
look through social media and you go through who are the best businessmen in this game, it's the guys who are doing little deals after little deals after little deals and they're doing it consistently rather
Hmm.
than the guys who are doing 20K every month and then
That's
a
right.
20K in the third month and in the fifth month. It's
Yeah,
like
yeah,
little deals every single week or one deal big every month, right? The guy with the little deals is going to be a lot better businessman with
yeah.
way
Because you're
more
getting reps in.
experience. Completely. Tell us the story of your first like, whoa, this game is crazy. So my story was when I hit, well, it was my first deal. For me, it was a $65,000 deal. What
Hmm.
was that story for you where it was like, how is this even possible? And why are people not doing this? And how am I doing it at this age? Tell me about that story.
Yeah. The first story that comes to my mind, it's actually such a good story, was um, it was this last summer, so the summer that just passed. I was obviously working every day for my dad, 6 days a week, so I was working on Saturdays too. So I was constantly around cars. Like cars were my life. I was driving a different car every day. I was picking up this car, taking that car here, there, everywhere. Um, I remember for a second in that summer, it kind of got stagnant a little bit. I think the market was down or whatever was going on, and so I had some free time at the office, And so instead of going on Instagram and scrolling and stuff, I went on Craigslist and I was like looking at work, which I usually don't do. I do that when I get home just because I'm busy during the day. I don't have time to like really check Craigslist. But I was looking at Craigslist and it was about 2 o'clock, and I saw this Subaru, like a Subaru WRX 2018, nice white one. It was like lowered, but it was like really nice. Wheels were nice, and it was listed for a really good price. And so I immediately just cold called a guy, which is another skill that I've learned just through experience is cold calling. And I called the guy up and I'm like, "Hey man, how's it going? Whatever." And he sounded like a younger guy, kind of like our age. And I'm like, "Hey, you know what, man? Like, are you willing to meet right now? Like, I'll come all the way from the East Bay. I'll meet you in San Mateo or San Carlos. I think it was San Mateo." And he's like, "Yeah, okay, sure, I'll meet you." And I go and meet up with him, and this car was like really like the white paint was like really nice. He had just detailed it, and it looked crisp, it looked clean, and so the white really stood out to me, and I really liked the white. And I ended up working this deal and working him down and stuff like that, and bought this car. But since it was past 5 o'clock, I couldn't purchase the car because I couldn't go to the bank. The bank was closed, and so I gave him a $300 deposit out of my wallet, 300 cash, and I'm like, "Yo, I'll meet you first thing 9 a.m. at the Wells Fargo right down the street." And I was so happy about this deal. I think I was calling my girlfriend, telling her like, "Oh, this sick Subaru," and the white was so nice. The white, that was like the big thing. And as I was driving home, you cut left by my house, and I'm driving down this street, and in my neighborhood, you pretty much see the same cars every single day. Like there's not really a lot of like pedestrian area like soliciting anything. Like people go to their houses. That's it. There's not really like a walk around area in my house. And so as I was going home, I saw a Volkswagen that was white, and it looked so nice. And I'm like, the white looks so nice. And I was just keeping my eye out for white. And as soon as I'm driving by it, I was probably this much past it. Like I was just about to miss it. And I see a for sale sign. I pull over so fast, and I just pull over, get out of the car, and I realized that this car is an absolute steal. I ran the numbers, I did the miles, I checked out the condition of the car just by walking outside, looking inside quickly. The car was worth 24 on the book, and the lady had it listed for 14,000. 10,000 back. That that is like one of the craziest gaps I've it is the craziest gap that I've ever seen, and my dad said that he's ever probably seen too. Because usually people will sell their cars for around what the book value is, or maybe a grand less, 2 grand less, or more a lot of the times. And so for this lady to have it for 14 grand, I'm like, no way. And I was like checking every number, checking the books, seeing if there was like a salvage title, whatever it was. And I like give her a call immediately because everything was straight on the car. I give her a call, she doesn't answer. I give her a call again, she doesn't answer. I leave her a text, she like doesn't answer. And I go home because my house was right around the corner, and I tell my dad, I'm jumping up and down. I'm like, Dad, like this car, I just found it on the street. Like I need to go buy this car right now. Like I need this car. Anybody else that gets this car, I'm gonna be pissed. And he's just like, okay, wait it out. Like see what she says like tonight. And I was so insistent on getting this car that it was probably around 7:30, and it was like dark. But I'm like, you know what? Screw this. I'm like, I need this deal right now. I literally drove back to her house, parked my car, got out, went and knocked on her door, which is like 2023. Like you could do that, I guess, but it's not. People contact a lot through the phone now, so it was like knocking on her door 7:30. Like I bet she doesn't get a lot of door knocks anymore. Like everything is virtual, and she opens her door, and I was like, I think I had like just finished the gym, so I was wearing my gym clothes. And I had just finished this other deal, so I was sharp. I'm like, hey, man, how's it going? I just saw your car outside. I'm a student at CU Boulder. This car is really great. Like, I'm looking for a four-wheel drive. And she's like, yeah, sure. Come back at 9 a.m. tomorrow. And I'm like, oh, shit, I have this other deal with the Wells Fargo guy at 9 a.m. And so I go home. I couldn't sleep that night. I set my alarm for like 8 a.m. And I called the other guy with the Subaru. I said, yo, man, sorry, I'm going to have to push back our meeting to 10. Hopefully that doesn't mess you up too much, because I needed that car. I was like, I prioritized this over the other one. I'm like, I'll lose 300. I don't care. And I go to this lady's house, and I essentially took it around the block, test drive it. I was like screaming, laughing, smiling, clapping. Like I was like, oh, my God, no way. And then I get back from the test drive, and she was like, okay, so you want it? I'm like, yes, please. Like, and she's like, you know what? You seem like a really nice guy. Let me give you a break on the price. I'll sell it to you for 12. I said, 12? Really? And so she sold it to me for 12. And I drove that car to my next deal at Wells Fargo, purchased the other car, Ubered my brother over so he could drive this car. We both took him to the office. And then that week I sold him at the auction and I think I made 10 grand profit that in less than 3, 4 days. So it was like,
Wow.
it was insane. And that was a really fun time because I kind of got my whole family involved. Like my brother came with me to this lady's house and my other brother picked up the car with me. It was cool. My dad was a part of it. So that was when I really realized there's like, you find these gems and like you make these deals and you're like, when you're on a roll like that, kind of as I said in the beginning, when you're on a roll, when you're productive, your eye is out for these things and you're a little bit sharper than you would be if you're not doing it, you know? So I would have never noticed it if I was thinking about the white paint, if I wasn't, you know?
Completely. That powerful story, and you're right. The more momentum you have, the more opportunities actually get into your way,
Mm-hmm.
right? You don't gotta find
Mm-hmm.
opportunities sometimes because they get into your way. And I think those kind of situations, they're God sent. And
Yeah.
for you, it was like you were thinking about white. It was the white. God put that thought in your mind, and then just boom, crazy deal
Yeah.
just happens out of
Crazy.
nowhere,
It was crazy.
unintentional. But
Yeah.
that was the path that had to be taken. I mean, that story is so powerful.
Yeah.
How did I know that made you feel so good, but like what doors opened from that in terms of mindset?
Mindset was just like, you need to just like do your best to always remain like focused, stay on your horse, and like just always be focused. Like always try your best to put 100% effort forward because when you do that, and it's like when you're like negotiating these deals, when you're really like in that mode, in that these opportunities just come to you. It's kind of like a law of attraction, manifestation sort of thing. Like
Hmm.
I can't believe that if I wasn't aware of white paint, I would have probably passed that car up because the for sale sign was like small. It was on the tinted window. Like I probably would have never seen it, but like just being in the moment, really like trying your best to just like do your best. And just do the best work you can. That's all you can really ask for. That's all you can really give. Um, even pushing through when you're mentally like not 100% there, like it's a bad day or it's all cloudy and stuff outside, you don't feel a drive to go. Like you need to find these sparks, like keep a cookie jar of all these good memories, like the steel,
Mm.
and pull that out whenever it gets hard. Like that's really 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 helpful, and like just being focused and having honestly, having a community is really important too. I feel like so it's like having you in my life and having my girlfriend and having a couple of buddies that are like in this thing, having my father, having my family, like to keep you going and keep you motivated, and like you see a smile on their face like that's more than anything, that means more than anything. So yeah.
I love that story. That is so awesome. I
Yeah.
think you explained it to me one time, but the way you just explained it there, I felt all the jitters. I was like, "Oh shit, what's gonna happen? Plot twist, whatever."
Mhm.
Can I share a story on how proximity could change, and it's with you? Can I share this?
Sure, yeah, of course.
So this was a summer. I believe I was maybe around 17 years old, 16, 17.
Hmm.
Breezy's dad, he allows Breezy's friends to work at the shop. And
Hmm.
Breezy was like, yo, come to the shop one day. And I was going for like a couple weeks and I was hanging out with them, just being around businessmen. And I haven't been around that at all, but I knew I wanted to be a top producer. I wanted to be the best at what I do. And this one time, we were so for you guys. Sometimes you guys buy cars, and you guys got to go to a certain dealership and bring all the cars
Hmm.
back. So there was
Hmm.
like five of us. I think it was you, me, Parsa, Shadi, maybe Hassan or Nate. I'm not sure, but we made that trip, and just being around these guys and around this company, I felt like, whoa, this is real life business, and
Hmm.
I was thinking about that whole time. I was like, this is what I want to build. Maybe not in cars, but maybe in real estate, maybe in software, maybe in networking. I want to build something like this. And I
Hmm.
just started at that point when I got that realization that this can come true. I started asking Cheyenne questions. And we were in the Uber. I think you remember this, Cheyenne. We were in the Uber and we were just talking, and for some reason, it felt like it was just me and Cheyenne in the Uber in the backseat. But there was someone next to Cheyenne, there was someone in the front seat, and there was someone driving. But it felt like it was just us. And I was sitting there and I was just asking Cheyenne questions like, what is this? Why do you guys do that? What are we doing right now? And I was like, bro, how much do you guys make off this business? And Cheyenne was like, he didn't want to tell me, but we're close and friends. So I was like, bro, can I just see like something? And Cheyenne, and Cheyenne's only a year older than me, guys. So maybe
Mm-hmm.
Cheyenne, you were like 19 or 18, and I was 16 or 17.
Mm-hmm.
You show me what you have at that time. Maybe it was just one bank account. I don't know what it was, but it was so much fucking money. And I was like, I'm running a small business right now, but I'm not doing anything close to that. And I'm doing this business right now with Cheyenne. He's actually showing me how to do his business. Like I could do a business right now at my age. So
Mm-hmm.
when Cheyenne showed that to me, and this is the power of proximity, guys, being around people who are actually doing business, people who are actually talking about money, people who want to be at the top in self-development, he showed
Mm-hmm.
me a new life that I've never seen. And it was
Mm-hmm.
like Cheyenne at 19 has this much, Connor at 17 or 18 has this much. I could do something just like that in
Mm-hmm.
some other way. Maybe not. I don't want to compete with you guys. I didn't want to do cars, but I was like, whoa. And then we continued. We got dropped off at the dealership. We drove back home in these nice cars. I think I had like an old Corvette or
No,
something like that.
you had an old green RAV4 that had the wrong key. Do you remember that?
No, I
Do
didn't
you remember
drive that
that?
though. Did I
Do you
drive
remember
that
that?
though?
I
I
think you
do
were the one
remember
that was
that.
driving it because it was the wrong key, but it got us all the way to Chick-fil-A, and then we stopped for lunch at Chick-fil-A, and we're like, wait, why doesn't the car start? Do you remember that story?
Yes. Okay,
And it
yeah,
was
that
the
was
wrong
it.
car. Yeah,
That was it. And
yeah.
we were having a blast. We were the way I like to see is we were having a blast while making money. And I was like, you could do this. I could do this. And ever since that day, I thought about I was like, yo, I need to be at Breezy's level. I need to be able to produce just like Cheyenne and his dad. I need to be able
Hmm.
to compete in that field of business. The next year in Cheyenne, you remember this. That probably a couple following months, and then I came in back into school. I started a business in wholesaling real estate, and we came back for spring break. It was Hassan's birthday. Remember that? Sitting at the what was it? We were sitting at like a top
Nick the
deck.
Greek.
Yeah, something like that. And I just hit my six figures in my business, and I was like, Breezy, I need to show you something, bro. I need to show you I did it. And I don't think Breezy knew, but when I showed him, guys, he was so proud of me because he remembered that story of me being flabbergasted on like, oh my gosh, how do you guys do this? How do you make so much money? And I went and took my own journey using motivation from them, knowing it is possible. And I was able to do it myself. And just knowing that now there's two guys in our group that are doing business and being successful, it made our
Hmm.
other guy Junior. Parsa was already there, made Parsa. And now our whole group, Cheyenne, is full of entrepreneurs doing six figures.
Yeah.
So it's crazy how it starts, and I really think, in my eyes, it started with you, in that conversation, in that Uber, that changed my whole life. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember. I remember we were going to San Jose. We're on I-880, and the Uber driver was like talking a lot. I remember that. I remember that. Yeah.
That was, guys. It's under those moments where your life changes when you see a new thing. And when you guys see a new thing, you guys have to make up in your mind that it's possible.
Hmm.
And for some people, it takes years. For some people, it takes months. For me, I got lucky. It took me a couple months, 7 or 8. But I just wanted to share that story because if you guys have a friend that's doing business, whether it's family business or their own business, you got to be friends with them, especially if you
Yeah.
also want to start a business. Or if you want to be a soccer player, be friends with soccer players. If you want to be good at ice cream shops, go to freaking Baskin Robbins. Be in proximity of whatever you want to be, and it will
Hmm.
come true as long as you put in the work.
Yeah, because entrepreneurs are willing to give other aspiring entrepreneurs opportunities. That's the biggest thing that my dad has always done. Like I would say he's given probably 20 of my friends a job. Like all of my
Mm-hmm.
friends who he's seen potential in have gone through that place. Like everybody, and there's still people that we call to this day that are like my friends that still work with my dad whenever he needs an extra hand or something like that, because entrepreneurs are so willing to help other people because they see it, they see the path, and they're willing to share that knowledge and provide. So don't be afraid if you feel weird asking your friend if you can like come and shadow his work one day, because like there's a very good chance that he'll say yes or she'll say yes or whoever they are. Um, that was like another thing. You were working for Gamma Ride for a minute too. Like it's just or surrounding yourself around business. It's important. You know.
And with you, Breezy, I would really like to exemplify this. You are super freaking humble. With the business that your family and you have built, you are so humble. Can you just explain to us, for the people listening, and even for myself, I want to learn this. As you grow and get bigger, as you get better and stronger in business, in financials, in physicality, how do you remain humble?
That's a good question. I think I don't think of myself as like higher than anyone because my family runs a successful business. That's not a testament to your level of power. Like even if one day I become a billionaire, like I don't think I see myself leaving the core values that I've already instilled in myself since I was young, because what's the point of acting higher than someone? There's not really like you can't connect with people, and I think that's the best part about life. Forget money, forget business. It's all about like how you live and how you kind of bring yourself to be the person you are. It's like I love connecting with all sorts of people. Like doesn't even matter if you're, you know, it doesn't matter who you are, how old you are, how young you are, the type of who what you identify as, if that's how you want to talk about it. It's just like you connect with anyone, and every single person that you meet has something to teach you. So it's like if I was to be like up on my high horse and like talking about, oh yeah, I'm better than everybody, I'm cooler than everybody, I would suck. I think that would just ruin who you are. Like that just sucks. Like why do you want to act like that? Like you want to be personable. You want people to like you. You really want to have a proper image, because that's just that's the most important thing is like in life is just being kind and helping others and like giving back and just being able to be adaptable. I think that's my favorite part about life currently is like I could really talk to anybody. I could talk to a multimillionaire, or I could work to the guy who works and cleans the custodian at my school. Like the other day, I chopped it up with my custodian for like 20 minutes at school, just talking about where he's from. He's from Indonesia, and I was just talking to him, and I was chopping it up. And then I met the CEO of CrossFit the other day, and I'm like chopping it up just the same. Like it doesn't make you a different person if you have more money. Like yeah, you can go and flaunt it. You can go buy a table at XS nightclub in Las Vegas, but I mean, you could still be a cool dude, if you're like humble and give back to those who have given it to you.
Wonderful. And that comes from balance in the mind. And I
Hmm.
want to pivot really quickly. I want to talk about balance in life, right? I want to jump into this idea that I personally do not believe, but I want to get your insight on it.
Hmm.
Work life balance. What
Hmm.
comes up in your head as I mention that, Breezy?
I love it. I think taking breaks from the everyday life is. I mean, maybe I'm in college, so it's a little bit easier now. But whenever a new opportunity comes up, like if somebody's like, "Yo, let's go to," like the other weekend, my boy was just like, "Yo, let's go to Vail for the weekend." Like we got a house and it's my girlfriend's house, but like she's letting all of our friends come. I'm like, dude, yeah, like you have to just say yes to all these new opportunities, because they're gonna grow your mind. Because now, because I went on that trip to Vail, I could talk to somebody who's like, "Oh yeah, I'm from Vail," and I'm like, "Oh cool, yeah, I went to that burrito spot over there. It was really good." And you connect, boom, that's a connection. Like you have to try these
Damn.
new things. And like, I met a guy when I was visiting Arizona a couple of weeks ago, and he's in the nightlife industry and whatnot. And because my cousin was just like, "Yo, dude, come out, come visit me real quick. Like, let's go." Now I have DJ gigs down in Arizona for when I graduate. It's just like all about it all correlates back to one another. Like you're meeting people, and work life balance. I feel like is really important. You have to make time for yourself, whether it's waking up early and going to the gym. That's work. That's life balance. That's part of life balance. Going to the gym or going to my cold plunge thing in the morning. That's part of life balance. Like it adds into your schedule. However, my question to that is that going to change when I'm done with college? I don't know because if I'm going to be more busy, but there's so much time in the day. It's easy to make time. If I wake up at 5 a.m., if I have to do that, I'll wake up at 5 a.m. That's okay with me. Like if it means making time for myself, that's okay. And like having your fun, like reaping the um, fruits that you produce is like really important. Like my girlfriend wanted to go to Vegas with her friends a couple of weeks ago, and I just said yes because I'm like, okay, cool. It's a bunch of people that I don't know. Let's go, like, put myself in this uncomfortable situation. I love it. Like, let's do that. So, yeah, and it's all about mindset too. You know that it's
I
really important.
Did I lose you? Oh, okay, you're there.
Right.
Dude,
Yeah.
that is so powerful because that's one thing that I struggle with, and that's why I ask you. I turn down opportunities because I want to hustle, because I want to work. But you right now, you're actually your wisdom. Like I said, guys, this guy has a lot of wisdom. You're kind of changing my mind to where if I do take these other opportunities, I can get some experience or some edge on something that will
Yeah.
help me in the future. Like you said,
I
that
mean,
burrito shop. That's like so that's not
yeah.
something you just think about. But if you go somewhere, you take the balance, you go out, enjoy your time, but you're like we wrap it around where you're intentional about your actions, it'll
Hmm.
work out at the end.
Yeah. I mean,
What
for
were you
you,
gonna say?
dude, for you, I would say like, let's say you're in the Riverside area. Like if someone's like, "Yo, dude, let's go to Palm Springs for the weekend," but you're like, "Oh, I don't want to go to Palm Springs. Like, there's nothing to do there or whatever. There's nothing for me there." You never know because you'll go to Palm Springs and you'll figure out that like there's this lake there, and then next time somebody is like talking about, "Oh yeah, the lake in Palm Springs," whatever, you're like, "Oh yeah, that place is sick." Like I remember the shack has like $3 shaved ice or a $3 hot dog or something. I thought that was crazy. It's like a connection or like for you if like someone's like, yo, let's go to San Diego and go like hit the jet skis or go surf or whatever, you can like connect to the dude who's like a surfer dude now. You could be like, yeah, dude, I just went for the first time in San Diego, went to this beach and I tried surfing. It was hella hard, man. Do you have any tips? Or like whatever, whatever it is. Like if you have a choice to choose between doing the same thing every day and something new, do something new. It's just gonna grow your mind. It's like traveling somewhere new. You know how it is. You went to Seattle for fun, but it kind of grew your mind. You saw a new part of the country and like it kind of gave you a different perspective. So it's the same thing.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that. Because right now I'm learning right now, and I know the next opportunity that comes, I'm gonna try to take it. I'm gonna maintain and attain that mindset. Because for some reason my brain tells me, nah, this ain't productive. Don't do it. This ain't making you money. Don't do it. But with your
Hmm.
input right now, it's like, do it because you will gain experience and see something new and gain an edge. I love that so much. Thank you, Cheyenne.
Yeah, do
What
that though.
leave us
Next time
off? Go ahead.
somebody offers you like a potential trip or doing something for like a day or something, just do it, bro. Do it for me at least for the one time. For one time, like just be like, all right, Breezy told me to like go to San Diego or go to Vegas, drive to Vegas. Just do it. Do it. It's not gonna hurt you, man. Like you're
Yeah.
young. Business is always gonna be there. Like the phone is always gonna be ringing. It's fine. The phone's not going anywhere. Business is not going anywhere. You could take 1 or 2 days and check something new out.
Thank you, brother. I will do that for you for sure.
Yeah.
You'll get my text as well next time.
But
I know you mentioned at the start you wanted to mention something about your maybe it was DJ or your business or something that's coming up. Tell us a little
oh
bit
yeah,
about that and
yeah. So
what we can
I'll
look
show you
forward to.
actually. So there's this bar in Boulder, and like I said, I'm kind of out of the DJ scene. I'm not really like into like staying out late, drinking, doing the bars and stuff like that. So I'm like, I still like it. I still like the idea of it. Let me see if I can make this into a business. So, uh, me and a good friend who's also very business minded over here at school is we approached a restaurant bar, who we kind of saw was going low, but we personally thought it was a really nice venue, nice environment, nice workers and stuff, and so we went in about. It was actually the weekend before the Super Bowl, and we were like, hey, we want to potentially bring a crowd to this restaurant and bar and help you guys boost revenue, boost business. And that essentially, like trying to just rent out a couple of seats for the Super Bowl, turned into like a whole business proposal plan. And we ended up writing a 14-page business proposal towards this bar with a whole bunch of different stuff. We made him a drink menu. Oops. We made him a drink menu, and we wrote a whole entire business plan. I'm not really showing it well, but and that converted into a potential business. However,
Wow.
in the last week, there's been some alterations in the ownership of this restaurant and bar, so that's been put on hold. But we're like, wait a second, like because now that we have these connections within like the food and beverage and restaurant industry and sort of nightlife industry, a bar, let's utilize these connections and start something new. So me and the same friend, we've recently taken a pivot, and we're gonna start doing a bus route from Boulder to Denver nightclubs, and this place is gonna be the pickup. So we're gonna bring this place business, get a cut of this business, as well as a cut of the bus business, take them to the buses, and then get a cut of the Denver nightclub that we decided to partner up with, and kind of utilizing
What?
just our connections and working our best to kind of find a niche, because currently in Boulder the nightlife options are very limited, and I'm like, if I want to be part of nightlife and like do stuff on a Friday Saturday when I'm not working at the dealership, this is what I'll do. And so it's like I've converted this into a business, and luckily I have the support of a couple of people. My girlfriend has been helping with formatting and creating contracts and this and that, and my buddy is also very connected in the music scene. So there's a lot of cool things coming to fruition, hopefully in these next couple of months while I'm still at school here, but I'm excited for that.
Damn. I don't know
Yeah.
if you could tell, but I kind of reacted a little early. I was so freaking that business model is crazy. I love that.
Yeah.
I actually know someone that is also an owner of a bar there in Denver. I don't know if it's Denver, it might be Boulder or something like that, but I'll connect you with them as well. But
That'd be great.
that's fire, bro. So that's
Yeah.
when is that when is the launch happening?
Um, we actually, since we just pivoted, because new ownership just came in last week for this restaurant, so we've literally just been talking about it since Monday. But
Okay.
um, there is validation. We've realized some validation in students, and we've also realized some validation in a couple of Denver nightclubs that do need a little bit boost of business. So it's like finding those like lows and just coming in right at the right time and being like, I'm bringing you guys 150 students to come and party. Like, let's do it. And it's like, these buses are gonna get a cut. Like, we're gonna get a cut of the bar, of both bars, of like the Boulder restaurant, because people are gonna pregame there, and then people are gonna stay at the Denver nightclub for from 9 to 1 a.m. And I'll talk to you more about it off camera, but
Yeah.
it's yeah, I'm pretty excited. Hopefully, we're gonna get our meetings going this week. Yeah.
Wonderful, guys. That's what you call bringing value to the marketplace. That's what you call bringing value to the marketplace and getting paid. Okay, Breezy, where do people, the ones that are watching, where do they find you? Instagram, YouTube, like where are you at?
Yeah, I'm DJ Brizi on Instagram, and that's Brizi. Um, you could find me on Instagram as well if you want to tune into the car stuff at Wholesale Brizi. So Wholesale Brizi, one word. You can hit me up on there, connect with me. We can connect more. But Instagram is my biggest platform for sure that I'm really utilizing.
Completely, guys. Hit him up. As you could tell just from what he was telling us right now, the way he articulates, this guy is a top entrepreneur at his age, and we're just in our 20. We just got into our 20s, so we are getting started, and we want to connect with everyone listening. So, Breezy, Shayan Tabrizi, thank you so much for your time. I actually have one question for you. So, what we do is you are going to ask the next person, the next guest on our podcast, a question. Before you, we had Parsa Yavari. This is Parsa's question to you. If you were to die tomorrow, what would people say about you?
Did he know he was asking me this question?
No.
If I was to die tomorrow, what would people think about me? Um, I think people would. I think a lot of people would come to my funeral. I'm friends with like everybody. I bet like a lot of different people would say that I have helped them or given them some valuable, information, or assisted them when, I didn't have to assist them. but I did it out of the love of my heart. And I think that I was a caring person, and I was like I am a kind person, I believe.
Wonderful. I would say the exact same things and a little bit more. But thank you, Cheyenne. This was a
Thank you.
blessing to have you on here. I hope we do it again, and you have a good rest of your day. God bless.
Thank you. Thank you.